Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna if you are new here. I am really excited about today's video because I think this is the first time that I'm gonna have talked about books on this channel. I typically do like book recommendation videos on Instagram in my IGTV section, but I really want to start doing more reading vlogs and recommendations and like what's on my to be read list and things like that. So yeah, this is just the beginning of that, so I'm very excited. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about my favorite series. So these are all series that I've read in the past year. I'm going to be talking about 4 different book series today, which I know does not sound like a lot, but they are all pretty lengthy series, so trust me, you will have your work cut out for you if you decide to read these. I'm actually gonna like add up the number and see how many it'd be in total. So there's 24 books in total that I'm gonna mention. A lot of the series I'm gonna talk about are pretty basic at this point, I'm not gonna lie, but it would just be criminal if I were to start talking about books on my channel and these books were not mentioned in some capacity, because I really loved them like so much. So, you know, you guys are just gonna have to like roll with it. Listen, maybe I've got some followers on here who are not super into reading but want to get into it and are not on Book Talk and haven't seen these books, so it's for you guys. Also, all the book series that I'm going to be talking about today are fantasy fiction, except one of them, which I'm going to talk about first. So the first series I'm going to be talking about are the Bridgerton books. These books are by the lovely Julia Quinn. Guys, I love these books so much. If you, by chance, live under a rock, you may not know that Bridgerton is a Netflix TV show. It's like the #1 TV show on Netflix right now, I'm pretty sure, or was when it came out. It's made by Shonda Rhimes, who did like Grey's Anatomy, How to Get Away with Murder, Scandal, all those amazing shows, but they were originally books. After I watched the first season of Bridgerton, I was like, I'm obsessed with this and I need to read every single one of the books before the rest of the seasons come out, so that is exactly what I did. I did not read the first book, The Duke and I, because that one is what season 1 is based off of, and I personally, I wish this was not the case, but I just cannot read a book after I've already watched the movie or the TV show, because there's usually more details in the book that are not included in the show or movie. But like, if I'm reading it after I've already watched it, I'm just like, oh, what part of the show am I at? And then I get confused and I just can't do it. So don't hate me, but I did not read The Duke and I, but I read the other 7. So there's 8 books in this series, and essentially it follows a big family during the Regency era in London. So it's like a period piece, which I love, like period drama movies like Keira Knightley, Pride and Prejudice, Far from the Madding Crowd, like those type of movies are my favorite. They are like very dramatic though and like kind of dark at times, but what I love about these books is it's set in those same time frames, but they're very like light and airy and fun and just delightful to read. Like truly, I was giggling so much when reading these books. Like they just gave me butterflies, but were also like sexy, but were like so cute. They're just amazing. So anyways, back to the family. So it essentially follows this family known as the Bridgertons. They're like a very popular family in the town. They're known for having perfectly handsome sons and perfectly beautiful daughters. That was a terrible British accent. I'm usually way better. Anyways, we're gonna move on. So it follows like the love lives of each of them. Their father has passed on. Their mother just feels like it's her responsibility to get each of her children into like a happy marriage. There's a book for each sibling, and it's very cool because like you'll see your favorite couples from one book show up in a different book and so on and so forth. Like they have the best sibling banter with the kids, and it's just so fun to read. Like me being someone who has like 3 older brothers and like knows that sibling bickering type thing. It's just, that was a really fun element to it for me. And you know, there's a lot of romance, friendship, and just I don't know what else to say. I love them. My favorites in the Bridgerton series were The Viscount Who Loved Me, which is the 2nd book, and To Sir Philip with Love, which is the 4th book, I believe. So this one is Anthony's story. This is gonna be season 2. You've got Anthony Bridgerton, who is just very cynical and very cold, and then he meets Kate, who may be just as cold and sarcastic as he is, and she becomes an obstacle in his way. Really good. Real good. And then the next, To Sir Philip with Love, this is Eloise's story. If you watch the show, I just felt so connected to Eloise when I watched the show. Like, she was like my favorite character. I thought she was so funny, and she's like a feminist in the like Regency era times, which so badass of her. So this was my other favorite one. She basically starts to fear that she's becoming an old maid and becomes pen pals with this guy and essentially shows up on his doorstep, and she's not quite what he expected. And so that's sort of the premise of this book. Loved these so much. Just please read them. Please do it. The next series that I'm going to talk about is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This series is super popular on Book Talk, so if you follow that at all, I'm sure you guys have seen this one. This was so good. One thing that I will warn you guys about is this is not a complete series, and I learned that the hard way. I don't have the other two books with me right now because I just moved and half my stuff is in storage. But anyways, I thought that there were only 3 books in this series, and then when the 3rd book ended on a cliffhanger, I was like, what's going on, Jennifer? What's going on? The 4th book comes out in 2022. When in 2022, I don't know, but it's gonna be called The War of Two Queens. Yeah, so just know that it's not done, and if you fly through books like I do, you may just have to like be patient, which is not a strong suit of mine. But basically, this is a fantasy fiction series, and our heroine is a girl named the Maiden who lives in like a fallen kingdom. Me like reading the back of the book. It's been so long since I read this, I will not lie. So Poppy, the Maiden, has been chosen at birth to like be the person who ushers in a new era of this kingdom. The kingdom is very fallen, lots of behind the scenes things happening that are just like not okay. And essentially as the Maiden, she's like not allowed to talk to anybody except the Duke and Duchess. I think it's a Duke and Duchess. I could be wrong. Don't come for me in the comments. I have not read this in forever. But it's like the Duke and Duchess, her handmaiden, and her guards are the only people that she can talk to, and her brother. So she's kept like completely veiled. Like you can't see her face, can't see her body. She can't talk to anybody. So like no one really knows what she looks like or what she sounds like except those few people that I mentioned. She's unclear on like what exactly her role is. And so there's just a lot of secrecy around everything that is her life. She has a new guard come into the scene at some point, and the guard actually makes her sort of question everything and like wonder what's really going on. I'm not gonna delve too much into it because I don't want to give anything away, but like really good, really good. I flew through these and I can't wait for the next one. So okay, next series is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I had to. If you're on Book Talk, you're like, come on, are you kidding me? It needed to be discussed. It needed to be discussed. If you are already an ACOTAR fan, you will notice that I don't have A Court of Silver Flames with me. Like I said, I don't know where half my stuff is, but there are 5 books in this series in total, and I am obsessed with every one of them. This series is like what got me back into reading. My friend Samantha, hey Sam, she's the biggest bookworm that I know. She recommended this series to me. Like they just made me feel like so excited that I was like, I need to read more books now. I need to find something similar to this. Like I never wanted this series to end. This series also got me into like fan art and stuff. Nothing against fan art. I think fan art is amazing. I've just never like been so obsessed with something that I go out and seek fan art for it. Like I have like artists that I like and like movies that I love, but I have never like literally Googled for hours and hours on like TikTok and Pinterest and stuff like fan art for something until these books. That's how good they are. My friends who are like non-readers would see me on these like Instagram pages that were just like this like anime looking fan art and be like, girl, what are you doing? And I was like, you don't understand. You don't understand. Read the books, and then you'll understand. How to talk about these without giving anything away. Here's what I will say. The first book is incredible, but it is the worst book in the series. Between book 1 and book 2, the plot changes entirely and it's just so vastly different. Like, so many new characters are introduced in the second book as well. I really did like the first book, but like once I got into like the ones after that, I was like, please. They just get so much better as time goes on. And I love series like that. There's some series where like the first book's amazing and then I sort of teeter off. Not this, not this. So basically these books are about a girl named Feyre Archeron who lives in the human realm. So there's the human realm, but then there's a legend of a land called Prythian, which is the land of the Fae, who are like mythical creatures who have elongated lifespans and sometimes magical powers. The Fae people can be like shapeshifters as well. They're nerd books, but bear with me. So there's legend of this land of Prythian, and humans generally hate the Fae because there was like a war between the two kinds way back when. So there's a lot of rumors and legends and all that sort of thing. Anyways, back to our heroine. She is sort of the caretaker for her family. So her mom passed away when she was young and her dad is just very like lazy, doing his thing, like not really looking out for the family. And so she takes care of him and her two sisters. So she like hunts for them, does like housework and things like that. And so one day when she's in the woods hunting, she sees a Fari. I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Fari. I don't know if it's Fari, Fairy. I don't know. I'm gonna say Fairy. Hopefully I'm right. She sees a Fairy in the woods and she has like so much hate in her heart for the Fairy kind and what they've left the human realms to that she kills it. And she basically has another Fairy show up at her family home after that, seeking retribution. So he says, you can either come to the land of Prythian with me and essentially be my prisoner, or I can kill you and your whole family right here and right now. Obviously, she goes with him and goes into the land of Prythian, where she kind of makes sense of like the rumors and legends that she's heard. She finds out that some of them are just not true and goes on a wild journey. That's what I'm gonna say about that. But like, please just read them if you haven't. If you're on Book Talk and you have not read this series, then like, what are you doing? My favorite book in A Court of Thorns and Roses is A Court of Mist and Fury because I love the love story in this. If you guys have already read it, you know what I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. It's very much like a slow burn, which is like one of my favorite tropes. People in today's society don't know how to go for the slow burn anymore, so I love reading about it. This is the second book in the series, and I really mean it when I say these books just only get better and better. One thing that I will say about this series, and about any Sarah J Maas thing that I've read honestly, is that she is so great at characters. Like, she develops her characters so well and makes them so singular and so individual to where like you could give me a scenario of some random thing and I could tell you how each of the characters in her books would react because they're just so singular and so like themselves, if that makes sense. It just makes you feel so attached to all the characters and so intrigued. Like they feel like your friends. So read this, please. Okay, the fourth and final series that I'm going to be talking about is the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J Maas. I'm going to get absolutely shit on for this, like I already know, but I actually did not read The Assassin's Blade, which is technically the first book in the series. Listen, my friend Sam recommended me this series and she called it, like it's called the Throne of Glass series. So I thought Throne of Glass was the first book. And honestly, you don't really need to read Assassin's Blade to like get into the rest of the series, but anytime that I'm on like fan accounts for this series, they always mention this character that's only in the first book, that just everyone loves this character and I don't even know that character really. At some point, maybe I will read Assassin's Blade, but I just got super into Throne of Glass when I started reading it, and then my friend was like, wait, you're reading the wrong one, and I was like, too late, like I'm already far into it. So technically there's 8 books in this series, but I only read 7 and they're all out of order right now, so don't look at the order that I have them in. And the reason they're all out of order is because I read them so like one after the other that I lost track of like where one started and where one ended. So if you were to ask me like what my favorite book in this series is, I could not tell you for the life of me. I flew through these books. Like these are all thick. I don't think I've ever read a series this big, so I'm very proud of myself for this. So this book and ACOTAR is by the same author, Sarah J. Maas, and so both of these books have to do with fairies. This one is less about like friendships and relationships. No, I mean there's still a ton of like couples. I take that back. There's still a ton of couples and like friendships in these books that are like so incredible and amazing, but it's definitely more like plot driven than ACOTAR, I'd say. It's a very like intricate plot. There's lots of twists and turns, which I really loved. What's interesting about this book, so it's essentially about an assassin, which when I first started reading it, I was like, they made the heroine an assassin? Like, I don't want to support. But you gotta read it because things are explained. But yeah, it follows the life of an assassin named Selena Sardothian. She, for like years, has been imprisoned in this slave camp for her assassin-like deeds. And she has just gotten the opportunity to leave the slave lands to be a part of this competition that the king is holding. The king is like super evil, but he is holding a like competition throughout the lands to find his like right side assassin, basically, like his personal assassin. Basically, he's trying to like hire a hitman and he wants to have like the best of the best. And so she's like brought out of the slave lands to participate in this. And if she wins, then she gets to leave the slaves lands, but is then his personal assassin. And she like hates this king because he caused a lot of destruction to her land, but she kind of just is like trying her best to suck it up because it's the only way for her to like find some semblance of freedom. We find out a lot about her backstory, about her upbringing. She forms lots of friendships along the way. She finds out a lot about herself that she did not know, that she's sort of like blocked out from her past. Again, there's just so many like couples in this that you're rooting for. That's what I really liked about this series. I mean, in ACOTAR too, there were like multiple couples and stuff, but like this series, yes, there is like the heroine and like main couple sort of, but this takes you through like so many different storylines, like so many different like friendships and pairings that all like coincide together in such a beautiful way, and you like follow all of them. Again, like the characters are just so well developed. Every Sarah J. Maas thing I've ever read, you just fall in love with the characters and you never want it to end. Okay, so that is all the series that I have to talk about today. Hopefully you guys resonated with this if you've read some of these books, or hopefully you got some new series to add to your to be read list. But yeah, that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Maybe leave some more recommendations down in the comments for me, and stay tuned for my one-offs book recommendation video because that will also be coming soon. And make sure you follow my social medias if you aren't already. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to see more, and I will see you guys next time. And they have... Oh, hello. Kobe! Quiet! Sorry, we're watching Daniel's dog for him right now, and he keeps freaking barking. Hold on, someone's calling me. Hey, girl!
Hi! Why are you already?
Because I'm filming something.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Say hey to YouTube.
Hey, YouTube!
What's up? The Bridgerton books are so slippery. Oh, God. Again, you... Not the voice crack. Just fall in love. Kobe! Quiet! Oh, my God. I've literally never... I've never heard of a dog barking more than this. The biggest Berkworm. I hadn't... They're Nud books. One thing that I will... Kobe! Quiet! I'm gonna say Fari. No, because it's the Fae.